Fiber optic cable. When it comes to choosing a cable, there are fiber optic cable advantages and disadvantages. A fiber optic cable is a network cable that has strains of glass fibers inside an insulated casing. Or in other words, an optical fiber cable is a type of cable in which several optical fibers are connected, usually covered by the protective plastics. They are planned for long-distance, high-recital data networking, and telecommunications. Fiber optic cable essentially consists of two layers of glass: the core, which indicates the actual light, and the cladding, which is a layer of glass around the core. A layer called a buffer tube protects the cladding, and the jacket layer works as the final protective layer for personage stresses. The cladding has a lower reflex index than the core. This leads to basic internal reflection. Most fibers work in duplex joints. One is used to transmit fiber and the other is used to receive. But it is possible to send both signals in the same way. Types of fiber optic cable. It has two types. The first type of cable is single-mode fiber, SMF, and the second is multi-mode fiber, MMF. Multi-mode fiber can carry multiple light modes at the same time by having different optical properties. The shortest route must be traveled. The larger core simplifies connectivity, and takes advantage of low-cost LED and VCSEL technologies that run in the 850 nanometers window. The single-mode fiber has a base size of 9 microns, is very small and has a light path, and can travel up to 100 kilometers. This requires more expensive electronics that run on Windows 13.10 and 1550 nanometers and are commonly used in long-distance LANs, cable TV, and telephone applications. How fiber optics works. Fiber optics transmit light in the arrangement of particles or photons that pulsation via fiber optic cable. The light bounces off the walls repeatedly and travels under the fiber optic cable. Glass fiber cores and cladding each have a separate reflex indicator that deflects incoming light from a particular angle. When light signals are transmitted via fiber optic cable, they reflect core and cladding in a sequence of zigzag bounces, and this procedure is followed by a method called internal reflection. Light indicators do not travel at the speed of light because they indicate layers of glass, instead of traveling 30% slower than the speed of light. Fiber optics transmissions sometimes require repeaters at long intervals to renew or boost the signal throughout its journey, so that by converting the optical signal into an electrical signal, the optical signal can be implemented optically. The signal can be transmitted again. Uses of fiber optics. Fiber optic cables transmit huge amounts of data at very lofty speeds. Therefore, this technology is generally applied to Internet cables. Compared to traditional copper wires, fiber optic cables are heavier, lighter, and more elastic and take more data. It has never been easier to make a telephone call inside or outside the country. With the use of fiber optic communication, you can quickly connect and communicate clearly with both parties without a break. The use of fiber optics in the field of decorative lighting has also increased in recent years. Fiber optic cables offer easy, reasonable, and gorgeous solutions for lighting projects. As a result, they are widely used in lighting decorations and bright Christmas trees. Fiber optic cables are extensively used in drug and research. Optical communication is an important part of non-invasive surgical procedures, known as endoscopy. The use of fiber optic cables in signal transmission has increased exponentially in recent years. These cables are ideal for transmitting signals to high-definition televisions because of their high bandwidth and speed. Similarly, fiber optic cables are cheaper than the same amount of copper wire. Fiber optic cables play an important role in the lighting and safety features of existing automobiles. They are widely used in lighting, both interior and exterior of vehicles. Due to space conservation and high light supply capacity, fiber optics are used in more and more vehicles every day. Fiber optic cable advantages and disadvantages. Fiber optic transmission using optical fiber is becoming more and more common in modern society, driven by the growing demand for high bandwidth and high-speed connectivity for various industrial and residential purposes. Here are some details of the advantages and disadvantages of fiber optic transmission. Fiber optic cable advantages. Low power loss. An optical fiber offers low power shortages, allowing longer transmission distances. Compared to copper, in a network, the longest distance of copper is 100 meters, while with fiber, it is 2 kilometers. Faster speeds. Optical fiber cable supports extremely high bandwidth and speed. The most important advantage of optical fiber cable is the information transmitted per unit. Better reliability. Fiber is protected from temperature changes, extreme weather, and humidity, all of which can interfere with copper cable communication. Also, the fiber does not carry an electric current, so it is not bothered by electromagnetic interference, EMI, which can hinder data transmission. Flexibility. An optical fiber has more precise strength than copper or steel fibers of the same diameter. It is flexible, bends easily, and resists most serious elements attacking copper cable. Thinner and light-weighted. Fiber optic cables are much thinner and lighter than metal wires. They also take up less space with cables with the same information capacity. Lightweight fiber makes it easy to install. Optical fiber is thinner and can be tied in a smaller diameter than copper wires. These comparable copper wire cables are smaller in size and lighter in weight, offering a better fit for areas where space is a concern. Security. Optical fibers are difficult to tap. Since they do not activate electromagnetic energy, they cannot stop the emission. Because tapping fiber physically takes great skill in doing unwanted work, fiber is one of the safest means of transporting sensitive data. Bandwidth. Fiber optic cables have a much larger bandwidth than metal wires. The most important advantage of this is the information transmitted per unit time. Fiber on other transmission media. Longer distances. Fiber optic cables can carry signals far beyond the 328-foot limit specified for copper cables. For example, some 10 gigabits per second single-mode fiber cables can carry a signal about 25 miles away. The actual distance depends on the cable type, wavelength, and network. Cost. Optical fiber cable can be made several miles cheaper than the equivalent length of copper wire. To compete for market share with many vendors, the price of optical cable is sure to come down. The raw materials for glass are much higher than for copper. This means that glass can be made cheaper than copper. Fiber optic cable disadvantages. Although the advantages of using fiber optic transmission far outweigh the disadvantages, its disadvantages should not be underestimated. Difficult to splice. Optical fibers are difficult to separate and scattering causes light loss in the fiber. They have a limited physical arc of cables. If you twist them too much, they will break. Fragility. It is made of glass, which is much more delicate than electrical cables such as copper cabling. Not only that, but glass can also be damaged by chemicals such as hydrogen gas that can affect transmission. Due to its weakness, special care has to be taken with laying fiber cable underwater. Can't be curved. Transmission on optical fiber has to be repeated at long intervals. When just a few centimeters of radius curves are wrapped, the fibers can be broken or the transmission can be damaged. Highly susceptible. Fiber optic cable is a small and compact cable, and it is extremely sensitive to cuts or damage during installation or construction activities. Fiber optic cables can provide great data transmission capabilities. Therefore, when fiber optic cabling is chosen as the transmission medium, its maintenance, backup, and survival must be identified. Attenuation and dispersion. With long-distance transmission, the light will diminish and scatter, which means additional components such as EDFA, erbium-doped fiber amplifier, an optical repeater device used to amplify optical signals, which are run through a fiber optic communication system. Fiber optic cable has both advantages and disadvantages. However, in the lengthy sprint optical fiber will put back copper. In today's network, fiber optic cable is becoming more popular and widely used than ever before.